Welcome to Cellmates.
Oh, welcome to Cellmates.
Welcome, Dick Ward.
Welcome you too, Kate Phillips.
Welcome to this podcast where we take two animated movies and we analyze them, dissect them, compare, contrast, and put them into a Venn diagram. Often, these two movies are Disney.
But not always.
Often they are musicals.
Not always.
Often they are good.
Not always.
Dick,
Hey, Kate.
what are you drinking?
Oh, a beer. It is a beer. It is, I think, is it a wheat beer, I think?
It is a wheat beer.
And it's called, hold on, I got this. Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like, I believe you can get me through the night.
I have a question for you, Dick Ward.
Were you going to say, did I use the application Dreamweaver to design websites in the mid-90s? Yes, I did.
Oh, my question for you, Dick, is what is the most recent dream that you remember that you care to share?
Oh,
as a
yeah, I told
small
you about
talk.
my most recent dream. It was dark.
That's right, you killed a guy.
Yeah. So actually, my last two most recent dreams were not great. So my most recent dream is that somehow yes, the word or possibly the concept of yes won the most Iowa delegates.
Dick, there's still 38% of the vote out as we sit here on this evening.
Oh my God.
Yes could still take it all.
I stayed up until like 11:30, 11:45 waiting for the Iowa Democratic Caucus
We
results.
are recording this the day after the caucus,
Not
which means we still don't have the results.
Not to date this episode at all.
Yeah, well.
But this is the day after the Iowa caucus.
Of 2020.
Of 2020. And I stayed up late to find out who won. And I'm still waiting to find out who won.
The answer is no one.
So I had a dream.
No one wins.
I had a dream that the word
Literally.
yes took 68% of the vote.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, we can have an offline conversation about who that would actually be.
I was upset because I was like, that's not one of the options. All these people got confused and just voted yes.
So, Dick, you're saying that you dreamed an imaginary being into the Iowa caucus.
I mean, a concept at least. Kate, what dream did you...
This is great.
Yes.
Because I've been having recent dreams. I've been preparing for school concerts, so they've been stress dreams. But I've had a string of dreams about getting to Disney World and then, like, running into so many problems that we only get, like, 15 minutes in a park before it closes.
Hey, don't tell me that dream. I almost threw up a little bit.
But... it's interesting, but that's not going to happen, and this is fine. But I keep having dreams that we like specifically about Disney World, specifically about a theme park. Isn't that interesting? I'm not making this up for the...
Wait, question, because I know you, and this is the first time I'm hearing this information. Are you having these stress dreams because I've been in charge of planning?
No.
And you
They
haven't?
are unrelated. They are a thing that... Right? We're going to Disney soon.
Yeah.
It's a thing I'm looking forward to, and I have stress before that, and then my dream is like, well, this is the most important thing that's coming up in your life.
Interesting.
This is the thing that's
So are
going
you
to
saying
get
we watched
toppled.
two movies where people are stressed out because they're looking forward to something? The like death of a loved one, maybe. And
Looking forward to it.
no, that didn't work.
They're looking forward to spending maybe a life with their loved one.
Yeah, let's drop the looking forward part. But we watched two movies where people are stressed out because of a loved one being in some sort of trouble.
Specifically children being stressed out because
Moms are in trouble.
Mom is sick.
Mom's sick. And create sort of an imaginary world that they live in.
Shout out to friend and listener of the podcast, Britt.
Yeah.
for this suggestion that she forgot she suggested when I told her we were recording this episode.
Okay, so we've taken 2 or 3 suggestions from Britt now. How many of those has she remembered that she suggested?
I'm not sure. I think Winnie the Pooh she remembered.
She did remember Winnie the
Because
Pooh.
their family loves it so much. That's a question for Britt.
But
we'll answer it in the next episode because Britt will have an answer.
Yeah, Britt, let us know.
Because she saw... So the movies we're doing
Yeah.
are Wonder Park, which is the one that Britt had just seen when she recommended this pairing. Recommend is an interesting word here. She saw Wonder Park, said, this was weird. You should do it with My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah, and that's
because I think My Neighbor Totoro is a better version of what this movie is trying to do.
Yeah, it's a recommended movie. It's not a recommended pairing. Not a you'll love this movie. And Wonder Park, I mean, we can get into this now even. What was your first experience with Wonder Park?
We saw a trailer for Wonder Park recently.
Yes.
Was it Mary Poppins, maybe?
It might have been Mary Poppins.
Something we saw in a theater before that.
Yeah, because it wasn't Cats. It
wasn't Cats. Frozen 2.
It was before Frozen.
Yeah, so probably Mary Poppins.
Probably Mary Poppins.
And it looked so good. It's a movie about a girl creating a theme park in her head that like has all these like working parts, and she's doing it with stuffed animals, and then it comes to life, but then like it shuts down for some reason, and they're vague in the in the trailer, but it looked like it had some funny lines. It looked like it had some interesting characters, and we're always in for a good theme park theme to anything, so this looked fun. And so I was disappointed to get my friend Britt's review of it, but held out until we watched it.
That's very interesting that you say that, because I did not feel that way. I saw the trailer, and I would say the first 30 to 40 seconds of the trailer, like let's say it's a 2-minute trailer, the first 30 to 40 seconds where it's like, oh, we're inventing this park, and oh, this park is real. I'm like, this looks amazing. I can't wait to see it. And then the rest of the trailer, I was like, this looks terrible.
Do you remember what was in the rest of the trailer? Because
it was a lot of like...
The sick mom is not in the trailer.
The sick mom is not in the trailer. No, the rest of the trailer was the monkey,
John Oliver saying
zombies,
things. Yeah.
John Oliver yelling things. Is it Keenan's in this?
Keenan's in this.
Yelling things.
There are a lot of people in this.
And most of them are yelling things.
Yeah.
And I also remember your favorite Broadway star being credited, which
Norbert Leo Butz.
Yeah.
I did not remember, and it was very excited. I was very excited to hear the monkey say a couple lines, furiously look up some IMDb, and be vindicated that it's Norbert Leo Butz as the monkey.
Kate, we're gonna get to the point where you give us a rundown of this movie, but first, give us a rundown on Norbert Leo Butz.
How many cookie timer minutes do I have? Unlimited, please.
30 seconds.
Norbert Leo Butz is a national treasure. He is a musical theater star who started his first big name project is the original cast of the last 5 years, and it's only a 2-person cast, so this is notable, by Jason Robert Brown, and the musical has gained cult status and gone on to revivals and movies. So
and
he was
Twitter threads.
Yes, that's
really
right.
Good Twitter threads.
He was Jamie in that. Next, he's big things. He's Fiyero in Wicked. Before that, he's like one of the first understudies to Roger in the original Broadway production of Rent. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Catch Me If You Can. So it's like a diminishing returns in terms of the shows he's in.
He was great in My Fair Lady.
He was great in My Fair Lady.
And it was a really fun role for him.
And like aged up like 30 years. Well, yeah. He's not young. But anyway, Norbert Leo Butz is great. He has one of my favorite singing voices ever. And he's just a goof on stage. Yeah. Like he's up for anything. He's a fantastic character actor, but has a voice of a leading everything. It's he's great.
But
he's on Bloodline if you watch TV.
Am I correct in that he's like one of those guys that's like, look, I do musical theater, but I'm like a rock musician.
Rock musician and like straight play person, but the things he's famous for are all musical theater.
So you might say a little bit like the other, like the Roger that he was understudying in Rent.
Does Adam Pascal say he's a rock musician?
Yeah.
Does anyone believe him?
No. It's like, oh, I'm a musician who does some theater. No, you're not.
Where are those paychecks coming from, my dear?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Norbert Leo Butz is in this. So I guess I was excited, but then I forgot. So I got excited again.
Yeah.
Are we ready for a summary? You said you weren't impressed with the trailer.
I'm ready for a cookie timer.
All right.
We can go. We'll go on about celebrity voices a little later.
Oh, we sure will.
Oh boy, we will. But for now,
that's our Norbert. Did not sit next to the wrong dad.
All right.
Sat next to the right boyfriend.
Start the timer.
Cookie timer. Here I go to summarize Wonder Park. June is a girl. She creates an imaginary theme park named Wonderland with her mom. And all her stuffed animals are the mascots. And they have different lands and exciting things. But mom gets sick.
Oh, no.
And she gets sick fast. So before this, June tries to make her own Wonderland in her backyard. It goes kind of poorly, but mom believes in her. But then she gets sick. And so she goes to the hospital away for a while. And June says, no more Wonderland. This is making me too sad. She gets so upset that she throws the blueprints of Wonderland into a fire. Oh, no. So then she's on her way to math camp. And then she is really upset because she doesn't think her dad is going to be able to survive for like 3 days on his own. So she vaults off the bus, goes into the forest. But oh, man, Wonderland is there. It's real. But it's like grown over by vines and stuff. And she meets all these mascots come to life. They're no longer her stuffed animals. But oh, no, the chimpanzee zombies have run over the park, and they're the chimpanzee zombies. I can't explain right now. And they have to fight against the chimpanzee zombies, and she has to find Peanut the monkey, who delivers all the ideas that her mom whispers in his ear, and to get Wonder Park back up and running. Well, Wonderland, sorry. She finds Peanut in like this weird, decrepit balloon house, zero gravity land.
Yes.
It's very confusing, but also Peanut is sad and also dealing with his grief by being like really organized and stuff like she was. And then they escape, and then she uses ingenuity and her creativity that she had stifled away when she was sad to fix Wonderland and defeat the chimpanzee zombies. And the porcupine ends up with the wild boar, and she goes back home. Dad is surprised, but she's like, cool, I'm going to make Wonder Park again. It's going to be all over my house the way it was before. And guess what? Ding dong. Mom comes home. She's completely healed from what we think was cancer in like a series of months. No one is with her. And so that's Wonderland Park.
Wow. Kate, that was impressive. That was like dead on 2 minutes.
Thank you.
I noticed that you kept calling the park Wonder Park, and sometimes you call it Wonderland. Why?
Oh, I tried to call it Wonderland because that is what it's called.
Why did you get so confused?
Isn't it interesting that the park is Wonderland, 2 words, so it's not Lewis Carroll's.
Right.
But the movie is called Wonder Park.
Mm-hmm.
The words Wonder Park together are never spoken in this movie.
Ever.
So I've been fascinated in reading reviews for this movie.
Yeah.
Because most of the reviewers come out like me, like, this isn't a bad movie, but what happened to it?
What happened in it?
What happened in it?
Yeah.
And why?
Why did it do
for
that?
whom?
Yeah.
Because the first, as you were saying with the trailer, there are mirrors. The first half hour of this 90-minute movie is quite good.
It's really good.
I thought we were getting like this Pixar movie that no one's seen, and maybe Britt saw something that she thought was Wonder Park and didn't.
Yeah, I was kind of like,
but
what's wrong on this one? And then
once she gets to Wonder Park, it just kind of very quickly spirals into chaos, and like you said, a lot of like animals voiced by celebrities yelling at us.
Just yelling.
The plot unhinges, and there's a lot of like metaphors and parallel tracks, and none of them are running together.
Yeah.
They're all like related to what you've seen in the first half hour.
Like mostly.
I think after this movie was done, you're like, Pixar can make a good version of it.
Yeah.
And then we both stopped you and said,
oh, yeah, they did.
They did. It was called Inside Out.
That was great.
And that's, I think, where I wanted this to go, that like things in the park were like shadows of things that were happening in real life. And in some ways that was happening, but nothing was tied together. and nothing was made explicit. And when it was made explicit, it was way too explicit. And the explanation of the connection was over in like 5 seconds instead of it being a slow, like, oh, I see what's going on.
Do you
chaos.
Do you remember or do you have up who made this movie? Like what studio?
Yeah. So it's Nickelodeon Studios.
Oh, right.
But interestingly,
Ooh.
related to maybe
Computer
that
is coming out,
that
ladies and
the
gentlemen.
title is not in the movie. There is no credited director for this movie.
Huh.
Gee.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, right? So it turns out that it's not quite as, like, it's bad, but it's not it's not Good Dinosaur, like this changed hands 7 times bad.
Is it like Brave? This got pulled out of someone.
Well, it's like reverse Brave.
Oh.
If John Lasseter had gotten fired instead of Brenda Chapman.
Oh.
If the one who had been doing the inappropriate things had gotten fired instead of the good person.
Wait, so what happened?
So the director was, let's find his name, Dylan Brown, who has worked for Pixar before, and now he worked for Paramount. He was dismissed like a year before this came out, and Paramount cited inappropriate and unwanted conduct. I have seen articles corrected for saying that this was sexual harassment. So the legal jargon they are using is inappropriate and unwanted conduct. Shrug, who knows?
Don't know what that could mean.
I had no idea. Anyway, so apparently it was pretty far along in development at this point, but it ends up being without a director, and he's not on it for the last, because it's like September 29th, or no, May. So he's not on it for the last like 15 months, which it could be one of the reasons why this movie kind of scatters into nowhere a third of the way through. But yeah, this movie is interesting. I like a lot about it.
Yeah.
There are some interesting scenes. There are some interesting themes and threads, but nothing ties up. It's like a roller coaster that shoots you off into nowhere, and then you crash.
Metaphor.
That happens in one of it.
I know, that's why I said it was a good metaphor.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But you don't get bungeed into safety.
Kate, what's your first experience with My Neighbor Totoro?
Hearing you talk about how much you want me to see My Neighbor Totoro.
That's probably true.
No. Probably my brother. He likes, this is a Miyazaki movie. Yeah. He likes those. So I've like heard of Totoro. I think in my mind, until pretty recently, the image of Totoro was identical to Snorlax. And I think that's fair.
He's not Snorlax.
He's not related. Like they're cousins.
Yeah. Maybe best friends.
So, but I thought it was more of a Pokemon situation where it's like, oh, you're my best friend and follow me around at all times. It's different than that. I learned upon viewing it, so I viewed it for the podcast. But
that's not entirely true.
I guess I started watching it, but that was either before you knew how quickly I could fall asleep.
Yeah.
When I said I was tired.
Yeah.
Was it early in the relationship, or was it just a mistake?
Pretty early in the relationship. Yeah. It was before I knew that when you were like, oh, I'm a little sleepy, that meant you would be asleep in 5 minutes.
Out.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Superpower.
So you thought I had watched, what, like 20 to 30 minutes of Totoro?
You had watched none of it.
I had watched none of it.
So there we go.
Brand new. Brand new fun. Huh. Dick, what about you?
Never seen this before. Never heard. No. So I talked a little bit on our Rocketeer episode about this, and I talked on some other episode. I used to stay at my grandma's a lot, and she lived in a tiny town, and the tiny town had a tiny library, and the tiny library had a tiny tape section, and the tiny tape section had a tiny kids section, and there were like 10 movies, and we would always rent Over the Top, the Sylvester Stallone movie about arm wrestling to win a truck to get custody of a child. We would always rent Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, Disney's movie about a girl who succeeds at becoming a horse jumper.
Horse diver.
Yeah. We would always rent The Rocketeer. And we would always rent My Neighbor Totoro. And so from like age 7 or 8, I love this movie. It is my favorite movie. And not until I'm like in high school do I ever meet anyone who's even heard of this, let alone like seen another one of the movies by this company or this guy. Like, I don't know, you know.
Did you know at 7 or 8 that it was from Japan?
Nope.
Neat.
No idea. Right? Because it had English dubs. So it's English voices. And like, if they're not synced up right or whatever, like, I'm 8. I watch Transformers. Like, that's in English. And
a lot of what
synced
is available for children on TV at this time is from Japan.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah.
Like,
also,
a lot.
I was a big Speed Racer fan.
Yeah.
So it was like, it never occurred to me. I just knew it felt different. I knew there was a lot of stuff going on that I didn't get. Like, there's like spirits and statues and everyone's riding bikes and like there's a lot of like, I don't totally know what's going on.
What's a bicycle?
Well, I mean, Dad's riding a bike.
Bike is a mass transit kind of option. Yeah.
It's like one of their main choices of transit. So I knew there was a lot that I didn't understand, but eventually I think I was like 16 or 17. I went to San Diego Comic-Con and they were showing, it was like a premiere, maybe like the US premiere of Princess Mononoke, the one that you'll probably never watch.
Big pigs and violence.
And like before that panel, I'm like, my friends were like, we got to see this. I'm like, what's Princess Mononoke? They're like, oh, it's a Studio Ghibli movie. I'm like, what's Studio Ghibli? And they're like, they did this and this and this and My Neighbor Totoro. And I'm like, what? So, yeah. I don't know. And I've been a big Ghibli fan since. I've told you a lot about that.
The only reason I've watched Ghibli movies is because you're a big Ghibli fan.
Boom.
So thanks for that.
Yeah.
Because I've learned a lot.
Oh.
Dick, do you think...
Not as often as I should.
Do you know that you can summarize this movie in 2 cookie timer minutes?
Okay.
Not 2 regular minutes. To be clear.
Okay, the dad's
timer.
Dad's name is Totoro. The girl's name is Totoro. And the cat bus's name is Cat Bus.
I do have some names here if you'd like to reference, but I don't think you need them.
No, I don't think so.
I do. All right. Ready? Totoro.
Okay, so Studio Ghibli style. 2 girls and their dad are moving to a new town. They move into a house and it's creepy and haunted, but the girls are excited that it's haunted. The dad is named Dad. The girls are named Satsuki and Mei. Mei is the younger girl. Satsuki is the older girl. They clean up the house. They do a bunch of things. Satsuki goes off to school. Mei is like just kind of on her own playing in the garden when, oh my God, what does she see but like a little creature guy? And she like follows the creature guy around. She runs and chases him. And then she runs down this kind of rabbit hole thing and she falls onto this big creature guy. And she's like, what's your name? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, Totoro? Okay, your name's Totoro. So she becomes best friends with Totoro. And she tries to go back there and it's like, oh no, the Totoro's not here. But I swear it was here. And Dad's like, oh, let's give some thanks to the tree spirit for protecting Mei. Anyway, also their mom is sick. She's in the hospital and they're like kind of dealing with that. At one point, Mei is like super upset because mom is like not coming back from the hospital in time, or she can't visit mom at the hospital. I forget which that is. And runs off. Oh, she runs away to give her mom corn to heal her. So Mei gets lost and Satsuki the Totoro helps Satsuki find Mei through use of the cat bus, which is a cat bus. It's what it sounds like. It's a bus made of cat. And they eventually find Mei. Everyone's happy. Mom finds some corn.
Cookies are done. Cookies are done.
Totoro's done. Totoro's done.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of Miyazaki movies, there's a lot just kind of there.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot to talk about. It's just, there's a big fluffy guy. His name is Totoro. That's all.
It's like
It's nice in a nice way.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to push back on that description because I do think there's a lot to talk about, and there's a
Not to
lot
talk about. I meant happening in a plot way.
Yeah, I don't think it's as plot driven. I think this one, like it has plot elements.
I actually think it actually might have more plot than some of the ones that I've seen. Like, it's not necessarily set up from the beginning,
Yeah,
but
like,
certainly, like, the climactic sequence of May running away, like,
yeah,
because I guess, like, in Spirited Away, I'm just kind of confused. Like, I'm waiting for more plot to happen, and I don't realize that it's just kind of given to me at the beginning. Like, you got to work your debt to unpig your parents. Like, that's the plot. And I'm kind of expecting there to be more things.
I mean, there are more.
But, like, more... That is the basic plot, right? Like, that is the protagonist's journey.
Well, no, kind of.
Okay.
Like, that's the setup for the plot, but then the mountain beyond the mountain, Kate, is that she realizes she's got to, like, kind of defeat this evil witch and uncurse her dragon friend in order to unpig her parents.
Sure. What I liked a lot about this movie is that, and especially I liked it because I knew what I was getting into in a Miyazaki movie.
Yeah, I
is that
was
the
going to say
first
also,
hour is just slice of life. There's nothing going on. I remember you saying sick mom, and like I think like an hour, or not an hour, but halfway through, like is he remembering this correctly? Is there a sick mom in this?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yes, there is.
Yeah.
But that's not revealed until halfway through, and so it kind of works. That point that you find that out, it both works retroactively, and it informs everything that happens after it, which is neat.
Yeah.
And I like that, and I like kind of having the plot unfold to me, as opposed to here's the plot, and then like here's this layer that if it wasn't there, you're not quite sure whether, right?
Sure.
Like, she's still trying to unpig her parents in Spirited Away, whether or not she meets a dragon serpent.
That's...
You know what I'm saying? I know what you're saying.
I understand what you were saying. Yes.
I mean, in that way, then, like, Totoro is kind of a layer that's unnecessary, but it is related, like the character Totoro, but it's related in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to go that far, like, Wonderland is unnecessary in Alice in Wonderland.
Sure. You know, I've gone too far into this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'd like to climb out, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, dig up.
Dick, is there a reason that, and to be fair, you did try to introduce this Miyazaki to me first.
Yes,
but
I did try and start you with this.
Is there a reason that after that failed attempt, you started with, I think it was Howl's Moving Castle, and then Spirited Away?
Spirited Away for the podcast.
Okay.
Because I thought it paired nicely with Coco.
Yeah.
Also, I hadn't watched it in a while.
Sure.
Howl's Moving Castle, because there is not a giant creature in Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, yeah,
And
you were worried about the cat bus.
I was worried. I was like a little worried about the Totoro because he's got a big mouth.
He does have a big mouth.
And I was worried about the cat bus because the cat bus is creepy. And you are creeped out by things that are larger than they're supposed to be.
Mammals specifically.
Yeah.
Mammals and birds, I'd say. Yeah. No, this is fair. I don't think I would have reacted. I don't think I would have reacted as positively to those elements in Totoro had I not been just scared shitless by Spirited Away.
Yeah. Like honestly, I think a year from now or 2 years from now, if we go back and watch Spirited Away, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more.
I think so too.
Because you're in. You've had...
I'm in.
I mean, you know, like your first beer is like, but then it's like, oh, I get this, and I
This
really
is fair.
like this. This is
Yeah.
an acquired taste. So I think you'll enjoy Spirited Away more. But yeah, Totoro is so friendly. It's just like Kiki's Delivery Service is so friendly after something like Spirited Away, and
Yeah.
definitely compared to something like Mononoke.
Sure. Cool. Well, Dick, you had mentioned that you had seen this movie with dubs. Can you explain what dubs are versus other forms of bringing a foreign movie to a new country?
Dubs are 20-inch rims. They make your car look really cool.
Sorry, everyone.
Thank you.
He's trying to do a bit.
I did a bit. It wasn't great. Also, it might be factually inaccurate.
I'm not checking.
Good. So, dubs are when it's what it sounds like. It's when you have a movie that's originally in one language and it is dubbed over in another language. In this case, Totoro is originally in Japanese. It's dubbed over in English.
So new voice actors.
Correct.
The whole deal.
Yeah.
And is there any other way to bring a foreign movie to a non-foreign language speaking audience?
Boy, I'm glad you asked. The other option is subs, which is leaving the original dialogue but adding subtitles at the bottom. And fans will fight over which is better, the subs or the dubs. And I think there's not one true answer. I think it really depends on the movie.
And you've seen Miyazaki, you've seen subs and dubs of Miyazaki at large. Is that correct?
Yes. And I'll to be honest, most anime that I watch subtitles. Naruto, all subtitles. Record of Lodoss War, subtitles. Neon Genesis, subtitles. Miyazaki movies, I normally watch the dubs because they're generally really well done. Mm-hmm. And also...
And after a while, they start to get some really strong voice, really well-known voice talent that is good at being voice talent.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, Howl's Moving Castle has what? Like, Billy Crystal?
Yeah.
And it's like names.
Mononoke is the first movie, I think, to really do that. And
okay.
Then because that
Subsequent releases. Okay.
It might have been before that, but I think Mononoke was their first real thing with Disney. And they just, really kicked up the budget for those dubs. So there's some real big name voice talent in those, which honestly is usually not an appeal. But again, since it's so well directed, and it seems like most of the time the voice talent understands what the movie is. So usually I'll watch the dubs.
We saw My Neighbor Totoro this time with subs. Had you ever done that before?
No.
Ooh.
I had not. I have seen it now in the 3 ways available to English.
3? Dick,
What?
You've only said dubs and subs.
So we watched the subtitled version. I have also watched the dubbed version, the newer... The Disney release has... Dakota Fanning and Elle Fanning. Correct. As Sasuke and Mei, which I think is cute, having an older and younger sister as the older and younger sister. And it has a bunch of other people.
It's got it looks like a Disney movie in that respect. Dakota Fanning, Elle Fanning, Tim Daly, Lea Salonga as Mom, Frank Welker as Totoro, which is standard Disney. Pat Carroll as the nanny, who's not a sea witch. So that's a different.
Wait, they got a different Totoro?
Totoro in the. Yeah, I don't know why.
He doesn't.
There
say
is
words.
no. There's an it's unknown is credited as the 89-93 original English dubs of Totoro.
Maybe it was just to keep the audio quality at the same level.
That's probably correct. Because there's a guy in Japan, but I think that's probably correct.
So there's that version, and then the first version that I watched that I grew up with was a different English dub. Yeah, it was different actors who aren't names that most people would know.
Lisa Mickelson, Cheryl Chase, Greg Snagoff, Alexandra Kenworthy.
I've done no research to figure out who these people are.
Some of them have Wikipedia pages, and that's the most I can say because I've never seen any of these names.
I would assume it's mainly voice acting and probably this kind of anime or
dub specific
dub voice acting
specialty.
And I will say that I really enjoyed watching the subtitled version. The original May is one of my favorite things ever.
Oh my gosh.
So
she's great.
It's hard for me.
The character is like 4 years old. She's amazing.
The character is amazing. The voice actor who plays her in the version in the first English dub is one of my favorites ever.
Oh, in the first English dub. I see what you're saying.
She's amazing and hilarious. And I remember watching the newer dub and I was like, oh, this is all good, but
this is fine.
Where's my May?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved watching subs. I am going to insist that we do Miyazaki in subs from now on because I can pinpoint you if we were to watch again like 70 moments that I know I'd be so annoyed with if I were hearing English voices.
Really?
And it's because the like Japanese aesthetic, at least the Miyazaki aesthetic of voice acting and voice delivery is so different from a Western style, right? Like they laugh. I mean, just the non-language barrier things, the laughs, the like that kind of like embarrassed weird chuckle that they do, the crying, like it all to me made more sense with Japanese language. And like
actors that are used to that aesthetic.
Actors that are used to that aesthetic, that's fair too. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like not being able to translate word for word made me more able to take, okay, here's this like arc of animation and here's the full sentence below. So I get a gist of what they're saying. I'm able to appreciate the emotion and the delivery more. Yeah. Because I'm not like, well, no, that's not how you would say, like, why would you say those words at this time in this pitch of voice? Like,
that makes a lot of sense.
Miyazaki dubs, I always like, they give me anxiety because they're like, they come across as very melodramatic to me in a way that inhibits my my ability to like flow with the storytelling. Yeah, it's super distracting. And it makes me, it tricks me into thinking that the storytelling isn't good because the pitch is off. Yeah. And so this I loved, and I would love to go back and see Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle with subs instead. Yeah. So that I could appreciate what was going on.
That's really cool. And that's really interesting because that is one thing that I noticed when you were watching, I think Howl's for the first time. You were getting hung up on a couple things and I was just like, nah, that's not important, don't worry about it. Yeah. And I think part of that is like I've seen these movies more, but also like I'm like, cool, this is what it is, this is what to expect. Yeah. So like taking your brain out of it a little bit by making your brain do more work. I guess and
I guess
really
like
neat.
I could do, and we've talked about, I could do a whole episode on subs and dubs because I've watched all the Disney Renaissance in Spanish as well. And I appreciate different things about the movies when I'm watching it in Spanish versus English. And I wonder if there's some crossover in that.
You have claimed that some movies and some songs are better in Spanish.
It's not even better. It's just like, oh, this is a new angle on this line. Yeah.
I just remember after, I think was it Tarzan or Pocahontas? Because
this movie is better. This movie is better in Spanish.
You were learning Spanish, and as part of learning Spanish, like you speak it well. You're not
más o menos.
See? Perfect example.
See.
You speak it pretty well.
I have like a second grade proficiency level.
We got by in
second to fourth grade.
We got by in Spain and Costa Rica. Okay.
Yeah, we got by in Costa Rica better because I knew more.
Yeah, you're not. I'm bad at Spanish. You speak some Spanish. You communicate
I speak some Spanish.
In Spanish. You talk to people in Spanish in your like everyday life.
This is true.
Yeah, some of them are four, but
it's fair then.
See. So, as you were like working on becoming more adept at Spanish, you were watching a lot of Disney movies in Spanish, sometimes with the subtitles, sometimes without, or mainly with the subtitles?
Mainly with the subtitles, because hearing is tough. Yeah. Really fast.
And so you'd like was it Pocahontas that afterwards you're like, Dick, I think I might have been underrating this movie. I think it might be really good.
It definitely Aladdin.
Oh, it was
Definitely Aladdin.
Yeah.
And I like Aladdin a lot.
Oh no,
but
Aladdin's
it
great.
is better in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to appreciate more of the visual storytelling. Yeah. And, when it's your native language and it's, all the dialect and all of the mannerisms are your native language, way easier to ignore it, right? Than if it's like, I'd be interested to compare, because I know in the Spanish Disney dubs, the dubs and the subs aren't one for one.
Right.
And I'd be interested in Miyazaki films, whether there's difference in the subs for dubs, because I also felt like the subs in Totoro were a little bit more, I get the gist, and the dubs in Miyazaki's I've seen have been a more formal
They're absolutely
speech.
not one for one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I liked that kind of more vernacular translation as opposed to a little bit more formal, and to me it comes across as stuffy way of speech.
Oh.
But it's probably just more of a direct translation from Japanese, right? Like, it's just super interesting. This is all fascinating to me.
It's like it's not weird to throw honorifics on people's names. Like,
right.
Dick-san or Kate-kun.
Right. And san is like, that's Japanese. That's how you say things in Japanese. But like, if you were like Sir whatever or Mrs. I don't know what the cognate would be. But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But it's even just syntax, I feel like, is different. Yeah. Anyway, so Dick, we've been talking about voices and script work and how they come across.
Oh, we should talk about
Wonder Park.
Wonderland?
Wonder Park.
Okay.
I don't know where you're getting Wonderland from.
Oh, okay.
It's not like it's the only park name in the movie. There is some voice acting.
Yeah?
Dick, did you notice that the emu, third from the left? Okay, let's read off some names in this
no.
animated.
Hold up. Before we do this, have you guys seen... really?
Well, I just want to list off some names.
All right.
Because I think it's Brianna Densky, newcomer. Great. Ken Hudson Campbell. Okay. Jennifer Garner. Matthew Broderick. Mila Kunis. Kenan Thompson. Ken Jeong. John Oliver. Norbert Leo Butz. Kevin Chamberlain. And others.
One other Broadway guy,
yeah. So, sorry. Unpause.
Hey, audience, have you seen the Sack Lunch Bunch?
You should.
It's John Mulaney Netflix special. It's very funny, and there's a great sketch in the middle of it where John Mulaney is playing like a market research guy or producer, I guess, and he's asking these kids what they thought of the animated film they had just watched.
Yeah.
And
it's like a Zootopia 8 kind of situation, but a made up. It's not Zootopia.
But it's like the kids are all... we won't give away all the punchlines.
Sure.
Because please watch it.
Yeah.
But the kids are all like intimately familiar with all of these celebrity voices. It's like, did it help that Mila Kunis played Giraffe Number 3? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That enhanced my experience.
Did you know who played the koala? Oh, no, I couldn't place it. And like
that's right.
And so it really felt like they had seen Wonder Park. Like, I know this is like every animated movie now, but like you look at Smallfoot, which should be a same situation, right? Mm-hmm. And the voice acting in that is good.
Wait, when you say that it should be the same situation, are you saying that this is not the same situation?
Well, so I'm saying on paper, Channing Tatum, Zendaya, Common, Danny DeVito looks very similar to Mila Kunis, Kenan Thompson, John Oliver, Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
However, Smallfoot is good.
Yeah.
Wonder Park, I don't care. I think there are two voices that I care about.
Oh my God, please tell me which ones.
Well, they're both
Norbert Leo Butz.
They're both Broadways. They're Norbert Leo Butz.
Yeah.
And I actually think Matthew Broderick does a really great job as her dad.
I think it's cute that you call that a Broadway voice.
Well,
When
people who
Kevin-
have stage experience.
I'm sorry.
I know Kevin Chamberlain is a
When
Broadway guy too.
Kevin Chamberlain is on this list, and you're like, Broadway guys, like Matthew Broderick.
He didn't make as big of impression on me because he just plays...
Most famous for Broadway.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying these two gentlemen have stage experience. Kevin Chamberlain also does a great job, but he has like 3 lines as the uncle.
Whose day off? Ferris Bueller? I've not heard of him.
The Producers, Brighton Beach, Other Things.
Great. Movie? Something I've never heard of.
No, he originated the role on Broadway. So anyway, these people with stage experience,
Sure.
I think, are the most compelling in their roles. I didn't mind the girl either, the Brianna Densky.
Yeah, I don't know her.
No, she's a newcomer for this project.
She's pretty new. She did great. I think she did a great job.
Yeah.
None of these celebrity voices were helpful
No.
to me. John Oliver was distracting.
You'd think John Oliver would be better at voice acting. I love his voice.
I think he's funny. I think he's got a great voice.
Yeah.
I think he knows how to do funny things with his voice.
I've seen 2 projects where Jonathan Oliver is a voice actor, and he
sucks.
He Martin Shorts up the whole thing.
Yeah, it's rough.
That is a reference to Titan AE.
Treasure Planet.
Oh, Treasure Planet. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin Short wouldn't be caught dead in Titan AE.
John Oliver is not enjoyable in this.
Actively unenjoyable, I would say. He is
really annoying.
His first line is funny. It's the dehydration is not a joke.
Yeah.
And then it becomes unbearable.
And I think part of that is that it's unclear. All of these... Okay. So after Alice goes into Wonderland... Is her name Alice?
June.
After June goes into Wonderland, this park that she created when she was a kid in her mind.
In her head.
She goes into this park and she meets all these animal mascot guys that she made up in her mind.
She had stuffed animals but now they're real.
And none of them have a distinct personality.
No.
They're all extreme and in your face. They're all poochy.
They're all extreme, and yet, like you said, none of them really has a personality.
No.
Kind of the John Oliver character. He is an overthinking, smarty, brainy type of. But it's not even fleshed out in a way. Like
his character's set up at the beginning. Explain the joke.
Well, so you enter the park when it's fully functioning in their imaginations. And you get to, the bear is this mascot, and he says, "Welcome to Wonderland. Have a wonderful day." And then, I don't know what the pig is doing. There. Pig. No reason. But John Oliver's porcupine is giving, kind of safety tips lecture. He's like, "Have you heard the joke about dehydration?" And the families go, "No. That's because dehydration is not a joke. Make sure you drink water when you're in the theme park." Great.
That's great. That's a really fun setup, and I'm like, cool. I know who this character is now. He's a very serious character, or he's kind of fun, but no, we're not messing around about this.
And then you've got Norbert Leo Chimpanzee, and he's the Walt.
He's Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse in one.
Kind of, yeah. He's not he's the mascot of the park, but not in the way that Boomer is confusing.
He's the mascot of the park.
He's the mascot of the park.
Also, he's created the
and
park.
The architect. So he gets stuff whispered in his ear by what he experiences as a disembodied voice.
Yeah.
And it's really June's mom who's saying, maybe there should be a Wheel of Cogs type situation. And he goes, "Wheel of Cogs ride. Thank you, voice in the sky."
Yeah.
So that's how you're introduced to these characters.
Yeah.
And in the first scene where you see them, you think, cool, this is layer 1.
I know who my
This is the first time I'm meeting these characters who I will know much more about later.
And you don't.
And then, psych.
Well, the bear
no one is developed.
The bear falls asleep a lot.
The bear. Why is the bear narcoleptic?
No reason.
We have no reason for that.
That's it. I just described all the character
That's
traits.
it. Yeah.
The bear falls asleep.
The monkey's sad, but not all the time. Just in this situation.
And then he sacrifices himself.
But look.
For no reason.
Look, the last hour of Wonder Park, and there are 90 minutes in it, is all action sequences with no beginning, middle, or end. All of a sudden, you're just in a new action sequence.
It's like someone wrote a really good short film, and then they were like, 30 minutes is a little long for a short film. Let's make it a full film. And then the writer's like, I got it. Then he went to the end of his 30 minutes of script and wrote action sequence and then handed it back in.
Here you go.
It's so...
The plot, the emotional core just completely out the window.
Yeah.
Anytime there's an opportunity to reintroduce it, like when she finds this monkey in like this sad, isolated balloon house in kind of a zero gravity chamber that reminds me of the last scene in Big Hero 6.
It reminds
it's kind
me
of like a black hole.
Of the advertisements for the Museum of Sex, where you see people bouncing on what I assume is a boob.
Sure. And you think, oh, okay, here's the analog for our protagonist, and the monkey is sad but doesn't know why. But it turns out the monkey does know why, and the monkey has immediately diagnosed. He's like, I guess I have organized all these candies into color piles because I'm very sad. And you're like, well, okay, thanks for explaining that all at once.
Yeah.
Like, we just saw your candy piles 30 seconds ago, and you've seen June in the real world kind of become this kind of obsessive compulsive cleaner and organizer.
Yeah.
And so when you see those piles, you're like, oh, neat, June's going to realize this that's over.
No, the monkey just explains it.
Oh, we don't have anywhere to go with this.
Yeah, and then
there's another action sequence.
And he's like, fine again. Yeah, it's like, hey, we've got an opportunity for a really touching scene. Oh, cool, put an action sequence in there.
And then, that scene in particular, 3 minutes later, June is sacrificing the monkey to the chimpanzee zombies so she can get out of the zero gravity zone and get Wonder Park. Like, she has no empathy. She's like, screw you, sucker.
Yeah. So I've been meaning to ask you a question.
Actively undermines the emotional core that they build.
I've been meaning to ask you a question. And may I first state that I hate the chimpanzee zombies. I think they're dumb and annoying. And
they're the only thing I like about the last hour of Wonder Park.
I hate that they're called chimpanzee zombies. Because it's harder to say.
Chimpanzee zombie.
So, that being said, to me, the chimpanzee zombies remind me of something that you actively hate, and I am surprised that you like them. And it is the coconut guys from Moana.
Okay. I'm ready to argue this.
Go for it.
The chimpanzee zombies are, we are explicitly told what they are. They are plush toys in the gift shops of Wonderland that are based upon Peanut, the Norbert Leo chimpanzee.
Yeah. Who have like come to life.
So it's like a bunch of Mickey dolls have come to life.
Yeah. And they're evil.
And they're evil because the darkness, this like dark purple cloud has shrouded Wonderland. And it's like kind of June's grief. It's kind of June's unwillingness to deal with her grief. There's not a one-to-one, and it's not even in a good way that there's not a one-to-one.
This was a bad version of Neverending Story.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Sorry,
I believe you.
Neverending Story is like all about the darkness.
If you say Wonder Park is a bad version of blank, I'm inclined to believe you because that's what it is.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I appreciate your explanation. It just hit me all at once. I'm like, oh, that's where I've seen this movie before.
Well, now I want to watch the Neverending Story.
It's great.
Because I like Inside Out, which this is also a bad version of.
Neverending Story 2, pretty good. German, pretty good.
Oh.
Huh. Pretty German.
I thought those were Henson puppets.
I do not believe that to be the case.
That's interesting.
I could be
learning
wrong.
new things all the time.
Strike me down if I am wrong.
I like the chimpanzee zombies because they only have one shtick. The coconuts, I don't know why they're there.
Yeah.
They don't have faces.
Yeah.
Part of the chimpanzee zombies, I like that they're singing this like happy song, but in this kind of like dissonant minor key. They're singing like kind of the theme song to Wonderland. It's happy, happy, da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da, da.
I wish I had an actual grasp on what that song was.
Yes, it would be nice to hear it first, for sure. The coconuts show up out of nowhere. They're not a recurring threat. That's one of the problems I have with coconuts.
The coconuts are introduced in the opening song of Moana.
Not the coconut
Consider
people.
The coconuts.
The what? Not the same things. They show
Okay.
up for one scene.
Yeah.
No one learns anything. They have nothing to do with anything. They go away. They're done.
Well, everyone learned the most important lesson. Don't mess with coconuts.
The chimpanzombies. I feel like it's the amount of importance the director tells me. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like Moana tells me the coconuts are important, and then they immediately wipe them from the movie.
That's fair.
The chimpanzombies, they're like, they're this kind of like annoyance that come up. Like, they're kind of the major conflict that we're dealing with, like, physically, but we don't really see them as big of a threat as June's grief that she needs to get over. Like, it still maintains that thread, even though this movie is hella confusing and drops threads all over the place.
Yeah.
We still know it's really June who has to work past her block.
I could knit a sweater with all the threads that get dropped in this movie.
Boom.
Thank you.
That was good. Yeah. They're just cute. I've never seen a Minion movie, but from what I understand about Minions, I like their kind of like, kind of blank affect.
Yeah.
In contrast to the mischief they're making. I think that's a funny thing.
We got to get on Despicable Me.
I know.
I swear you're going to enjoy that movie. It's a good movie.
I expect to. I'm going to be disappointed if I don't.
And you're going to be disappointed that we have to watch like 5 Minion movies after it.
So, June's grief is in this movie. She's dealing with her sick mom.
Yeah.
They kind of drop it all over the place.
Yeah.
How does my neighbor Totoro deal with the same thing? Because on paper, it's the same, right? Mom is in a hospital. She can't come visit with us.
Yeah.
We are physically and emotionally separated from mom.
So I've been trying to think about this because I am really interested in this comparison because I let me ask you this. How old do you think June is?
She starts a different age than the main plot. I feel like we meet June at like 7.
Sure.
And she's maybe 10 by the time she gets into Wonder Park.
We're like, is 10 when mom gets sick?
Because there are 2 different voice actors.
Oh.
Yeah, 10 is when mom gets sick.
How old do you think Satsuki is?
I'd also say like 10.
Like about the same
and
age,
May is
right?
like 4 or 5.
So the interesting thing to me about Wonder Park is I feel like June is given a lot of information. And like to me she seems like I think you're right. I think she's probably like 10ish. But also she acts like she's like 12 or 13 to me.
She might be 12 or the math jokes they throw out on math camp is maybe more 12 or 13.
Yeah. But like her reactions feel very teenagery.
Or preteen. Yeah, early teen to preteen. Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
But also like clearly written by an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a person with adult knowledge even though she's a kid. Like she's an adult character.
Yeah.
She just happens to be a child.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think does not happen in Totoro is these kids are kids.
Absolutely.
And like we were talking about the mom's sickness not appearing until the middle of the movie. And I think what I think is interesting about that is if I'm like a 10-year-old kid and I'm going to a new house and there might be ghosts in it and like all this stuff, like I don't have time in my mind to think of 2 things.
Yeah, that's on the forefront today.
And like also that's just how my mind works. I don't remember a lot of things if I'm busy with something else. But like so I think that's interesting. And it's like yeah, mom's sick, but she's with the doctors, they're making her better. I do not have to worry about it. Like they're worried, they want mom to come home,
Yeah.
but they're kind of like, oh yeah, mom's with the doctor, she's getting better.
And dad is a very stable voice and delivers a very stable narrative around it too.
Yeah, also dad just seems to kick ass.
Dad rocks, yeah.
He handles a lot of child in that movie.
Yes, he does.
May is absolutely a handful. I know because my sister was May, and my niece is now.
And she has a May, yeah.
Yeah. We have Mays in our family, so yeah, the kid's a handful, and Dad's just like, yeah, I got this, and he's staying bright and he's staying cheery, and nothing really bad. Like there's like little pouts and tantrums with May and stuff, but like the time where stuff seems to get really bad in the movie is when Satsuki gets a telegram that her dad needs to call the hospital.
Yeah.
And suddenly the girl, like, this is the only point in the movie where the girls are like, oh, mom might be in trouble. Mm-hmm. Is she going to be okay? Is she going to die? What's going to happen? And the girls start fighting and all this. And I think that's interesting because I feel like that's accurate to like my childhood experience. I feel like,
yeah,
mom's with the doctor. She's getting better. Okay.
Yeah. And I think this movie does really well because the first, like, you see them visit mom. Mm-hmm. You see that they have a strong bond with her. Then they go home. They're like, cool, we'll see her again soon.
Yeah.
So it's a compounding of things that creates the moment you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's one, mom was going to come here for a visit. That's canceled because she took a turn. But she's going to be okay. So you have that, like, kind of repressed stress that you're like, I'm stressed out about this, but people are saying it's okay. And then it's that one little thing, right? Dad's called to the hospital, and it could be anything, and you're like, done. Forget this. Like, I'm like waterworks, right?
Yeah.
It's that spillover moment, which I think Wonder Park has for one moment.
Yeah.
I think because when Kevin Chamberlain, Uncle Kevin, comes over, and so Wonder Park used to, like, their creative version of Wonder Park, so it's made of like popsicle sticks and different gadgets around the house. It spreads both floors of the house. It spreads in all the rooms, and you see it shrink and shrink and shrink as mom is spending less time at home, and June is becoming more and more like, no, this isn't a thing I can deal with. Mm-hmm. And then uncle and aunt come over, and they're like, here's a new Ferris wheel for your Wonder Park. Show us it all. Like, Wonder Park, Wonder Park, Wonder Park. And it puts June over the edge, and that's when she burns the blueprints.
Yeah.
She has a similar tantrum that it's a small thing, but it's enough. And I feel like what you're saying is absolutely true. She's more treated like an adult with a lot of information. But that moment I really liked for the same reason that I liked May's tantrum in Totoro, that it's this little thing, and because this is a kid dealing with emotions the way a kid does, this is the thing.
Yeah.
And now it's bad.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's still in that like first 30 minutes of Wonder Park where the movie is just amazing.
The good movie, yeah.
And like mom's sickness is also more explicit.
Yes.
In Totoro, we're a little bit treated like the kids. We don't know what's wrong. We're never told.
Nope.
We don't know if it's actually really serious or
and mom
not.
seems very upbeat and capable when we do see her.
Yeah.
Which is
she's
with
not,
the kids.
She's not like standing up. She's laying or sitting in a bed, but that's about it. That's all we know.
Yeah.
Wonder Park, we know.
Yeah.
Like as adults. And that's another thing where I'm like, are we the audience? Are the kids the audience? It's kind of like we see mom getting weaker, we see her getting tired, or we see her hair start to lose color, and we assume, like, I thought mom was gonna die.
I did too.
I think the movie might have thought that at one point.
Yeah. Too. Yeah.
In Totoro, we don't see mom come home.
We don't.
We see, like, it ends with like the girls taking the cat bus to go see mom.
But they don't interact with her.
They don't interact with her, but they do
They
leave
see her getting the corn.
They leave her the piece of corn
we love
that
you, Mom.
May was trying to bring. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's kind of where the movie ends.
And mom is alive and upbeat, talking
Mom's
with
alive
dad.
and upbeat and seems okay. But we don't see her come back. We don't see like a resolution. Mm-hmm. But we get the feeling, like, I don't know, I do. I get the feeling that mom's going to be fine.
Yeah. Yes, and.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's, and I think you can go either way, whether this is like more literal or less literal. It is not stated that anyone but Mei and Satsuki can see cat bus, Totoro, right. Anything. So, like, if they're traveling to mom via cat bus, are they? Are they seeing that image for real of mom through the window from the cat bus? Or are they imagining it? Or is it a mix? Are they there the next time and so that gets implanted? Like,
I think they are really there because mom and dad find the corn.
Yeah.
So I think they are really there. I don't know if it's like the cat bus or if like dad put the corn on the windowsill and was like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, I don't know what the reality is.
Yeah.
Because
it's very blurred. Like, it's very blended. Yeah.
But mom comes back in Wonder Park.
Yes.
Is this at the end?
That's very jarring.
Yeah.
Yes. It's I think it's the last moment, isn't it?
Yeah. So do you remember how this unfolds?
Not really, because the movie doesn't care. So June makes Wonder Park work again because she has decided to continue being creative and generative, even in spite of her having a tough time struggling with her mom's sickness.
Yeah.
Park's going great. She leaves. She comes back home. Dad thinks she's at math camp. She comes back home. She's like, I wasn't ready for math camp. Dad asks a troubling few amount of questions about how she got back. But that's fine. And then she goes up to her room, and then you hear a ding dong. Dad says, come down here, it's for you. She's like, no, I don't want to talk to anyone. And he opens the door, and it's mom looking all better. I think that's the way it plays out.
Is that the same, like, day?
There's a doorbell. There's a running thing, not even a gag, but like her neighbor, is it Banksy? the graffiti artist. Her neighbor like always rings the doorbell for her, and sometimes she wants to, and then in her grief she doesn't want to answer the door as much.
But wait, does she come back and then that day mom comes back?
I think so.
Interesting.
I think she starts working on Wonder Park again. There might be a time lapse that I'm unaware of.
I think there's a time lapse. Because
however,
otherwise I can forgive Dad a little bit.
Yeah, there are two things wrong with this. One is
what's number one?
Well, one is that mom looks totally healthy right away. And this is the first, we are led to believe this is the first June has seen her since she went to the hospital.
This is the first time she
left
the
hospital.
For a
serious treatment for possibly a fatal illness.
Yeah.
So first time she comes back because she's healthy because they use a blue scarf as the symbol of her being sick. She starts wearing the blue scarf as she gets sicker and sicker. She goes to the hospital in a blue scarf. She comes back. This is an animation trick we can do, but it's like not super done well.
This is symbolism.
Look at us. She comes back and she's not wearing the scarf. I don't think. Okay. I feel like I remember that.
That means she's healthy.
She's healthy and there's no threat.
Yeah.
So one, that's a problem because we've kind of undone all that we've done poorly as a creative team, but all that we've done in terms of June needs to keep on making her wonder shine despite there being a darkness that might always be there. Because she leaves Wonder Park and this darkness cloud has kind of transformed into this lighter color and it's a smaller ball. And they make a point of saying, like, do you think the darkness will ever go away? June says, I don't know. I think it might always be there in a small way. And then mom comes back and it's fine. It's like, you've undone that. That nice message. I wish you would fleshed it out or like made it related to anything else in the movie, but
our character's grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
so it's okay if mom comes home sick. That gives gives us a better sense of, okay.
Can I pitch you an ending to this?
You could pitch me a new movie to this and I wouldn't care.
So instead of mom coming home or mom coming home sick, June visits her in the hospital. Mom's in bad shape, but getting better, June brings her a piece of the park and says, look, I made this new ride.
An ear of corn with a blueprint for Wonder Park.
I mean, but she
yeah.
brings her and she's
Absolutely,
like, look,
this would
I
be
made
better.
this new ride. And Mom's like, oh, you're making the park again.
And it ends with the fade out as June is excitedly explaining this feature and this feature and this feature and in credits.
Then over credits, we see Mom getting better.
Rehabilitated. Sure. That's great.
There you go. Not Mom coming home completely healthy.
Ta-da!
And all of this was for nothing because Mom's fine.
Kind
You're
of.
an idiot child. Why were you so worried?
Yeah, that's upsetting. So the second reason
What's
it's upsetting
2?
is that Dad answers the door. Shouldn't she have come home from the hospital like with her husband or with anyone? It seems like she's just at the door by herself. There's no nurse. There's no like neighbor friend.
We're given the impression
she's
that
driven herself home from possible like months-long chemotherapy treatment.
The first time she has left the hospital to come home.
Oh.
I think I don't know. I think you joked about this with Totoro, but was
it actually happened in Wonder Park?
Was Wonder Park Mom in rehab?
Oh, maybe.
Like maybe that's why she was like.
Was the scarf covering up like
needles?
Needles, yeah.
Like what? Because what other like I had surgery. I needed like a couple of weeks to recover.
And people to take you places.
And people to take me places. You had a broken foot not too long ago.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the hospital for 6 weeks and then come out fine.
It's even like just symbolic. Like Dad seems like a good guy. He seems like a good husband, a good dad. Why wouldn't he pick her?
He's like a good husband. He seems like a terrible dad.
He doesn't really know where his kid is.
Yeah.
He seems like the type of person who would pick up his wife taking her from the hospital home for the first time in several months.
It's just so weird. And like
he's not busy, he's just like doing dishes.
If the movie had earned an emotional moment here.
Yeah.
Like if it had built up to it.
Right. Well, because that's what they wanted. They wanted the ding ding. It's Mom.
But we never like it didn't build up to it, so it didn't earn our suspension of disbelief. So we're just like, what the hell?
Yeah. Poor ending.
Yeah. Have you seen anything else recently that didn't earn the emotional ending it was supposed to have?
I don't know. Plenty.
No? Anything on stage?
Anything on... It was certainly not with Norbert Leo Butz or King of Stage Matthew Broderick.
King of the Stage Matthew Broderick. Yeah. Any musicals recently?
I don't know. But, I mean, you know what is a good album? Jagged Little Pill.
Oh, yeah. We should make a Broadway musical out of that album.
Let's not.
For some reason. And have Juno write it.
If you really love Alanis Morissette and want to go see Jagged Little Pill, respect. Just know that it is very heavy, very intense. Should have multiple trigger and content warnings on it.
Needs some warnings.
And
it sucks.
Yeah.
But you will hear
people sing the songs.
You'll hear Alanis Morissette songs.
You will also hear people in the audience singing Alanis Morissette songs.
But also, like, if you just wait, like, 6 months, you'll probably see, like, 54 Below does Alanis Morissette.
That's all we need.
Or something like that, that's going to be better. Or just go see Alanis.
The point is...
Don't see Jagged Little Pill.
No. I'm getting up our show notes so I can see if
we got to make sure we've tackled everything we need to tackle.
Yeah. So, Dick, you've had 30 years to ponder My Neighbor Totoro. Yeah. And we haven't super talked about Totoro in this episode yet.
Oh my God, no, we haven't. We haven't talked about our neighbor.
So we've talked about the moms being sick.
Yeah.
We've talked about kids dealing with mom being sick.
Yeah.
And the premise of both of these movies has to do with an imaginary world. Now, in Totoro, they create it. It's possibly imaginary. They create it, and it's kind of a way of dealing. In Wonder Park, she shuts down an imaginary world as a way of dealing. So why Totoro? Why an imaginary animal? Like, it's not even an animal. It's just an invented creature in this story.
So May is the first one to see him. Mm-hmm. And Sasuke at one point, says, she's like, Totoro, like that creature from your picture books, implying that like May is maybe making up a thing.
And this is there's precedent for them making things up, possibly because of those soot sprites in the house.
Yeah.
That nanny, their like housekeeper, says, "Oh, I used to see those when I was a kid." So it's kind of implied that these are imaginary.
Did you get that she was a housekeeper?
Right? Like kind of like she's like a Khalid.
No.
We went to Morocco and she's like a housekeeper / daycare provider.
No.
Who is she?
She's like lives next door or down the road.
But she's hired by them.
Like she watches the kids.
Dad pays her money to do
When?
things.
When?
She helps clean up the house. Yes.
Yeah, but
He introduced, he said, "This is Nanny. She's going to help take care of you." She is a paid staff member of the Satsuki Mei household.
I don't think it's a paid staff member as much as it is, here is a neighbor, I'm going to give her some money.
I'm going
to
to
take care of you.
enslave her. Oh, but there is money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like we had a neighbor when I was growing up that would babysit us, and I don't know if she was given any money or not, but she's definitely given like stuff as like a, hey, can you watch the kids? Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
fair. Yeah, I just thought it was coincidence that she was neighbor because she was there on day one.
Yeah, like
She was
helping
there on
them
moving
move
day.
in and
Yeah,
helping them
so I
set
thought
up.
that was a prearranged situation.
I've always read that as like this is a welcoming neighbor who's like welcoming the new people in and helping them out.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, soot sprites.
Yes,
They might be there. They might imagine
Yeah.
it's not clear.
Yeah, it's unclear, and both Nanny and Dad are like, yep, those are a thing.
But we can't see them.
We can't see them because we are too old, but we
Right.
could see them when we were kids.
So it's a little bit of like Santa Claus.
It's a little bit of that, right? But without the like, woo, we used to be like,
Yeah.
it's just in earnest. Like, yeah, I could see that when I was a kid. I don't anymore. And so May's the first one that sees Totoro, and then Satsuki sees Totoro. Satsuki, sorry, and that's it. The adults never do.
And they have like a nighttime romp with Totoro
Yeah.
and his friends where they like grow super tall trees in
Yeah.
a patch of soil. And in the morning they wake up and they're just little sprouts. And they're very excited,
Yeah,
but clearly that didn't happen.
right. But also, the things did sprout. So
Yeah.
it kind of happened. It's there's a lot of like kind of in this, and I think that's very sweet. But I think your original question was like, why Totoro? I think like why do they make up this creature and then the terrifying cat bus?
For all intents and purposes has nothing to do with anyone else.
Right.
It's just their thing. They don't talk to it about their mother. They don't say like, "Totoro, I am sad today. Will you make me happy?" It's just like Totoro happens in between their like real life events.
Yeah, and he's sometimes a catalyst for things. Like he helps find May at the end.
Via the cat bus.
But he calls the cat bus.
Yeah.
And it seems like he might, like Dad refers to him as the Lord of the Forest, and thanks him for keeping May safe, or like prays to a tree and thanks.
Yeah, that part to me is like being a good dad. Being like, all right, you've got an invisible friend. I'll play along.
100%.
Or I'll connect it to this thing that I can like confirm to you is real, right? Like
Yeah, like the spirit of the forest,
Right.
the animus, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's an interesting way to tell, like you were saying before, that kids generally think about one thing at a time. And I think this is sequenced and structured in an interesting way where you as the audience are only dealing with one thing at a time, just like the perspectives. I think I think Miyazaki does a really good job of that, of putting you squarely in this first person. Sometimes it's two first person, but you don't know a lot more than your protagonist. Yeah. There's a lot happening that you are just like, what? And your protagonist is what?
And there's some stuff that you will never know.
There's no dramatic irony in a Miyazaki movie. Yeah. There's nothing that the audience knows that the main character doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a neat way to tell the story because you're very much fixed in their perspective. It keeps you in the moment in the movie so that once you end and back up and are like, what did I just see? You can zoom out to that third, that third person perspective. Mm-hmm. But I like the switching back and forth because I feel like that is more real and that is more honest than like, oh, Totoro's here with me in the hospital. No, when you're in the hospital visiting mom, you're thinking about mom. Yeah. Totoro is the replacement for mom or the like distraction from thinking about mom. It's never explicitly stated as such. Right. And that's, again, more honest as well.
Totoro is also something that they tell mom about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know how much of that is like, subconsciously, of course, them being like, Mom, don't worry, we're okay. We have, we have Dad, but we also have another protector who's Totoro. Or, don't worry, we're okay. We're having adventures and we're having fun.
Yeah.
And we want you to be part of it too.
Yeah.
And how much of it is just like, look, these are kids. They are doing a kid thing. This is just a little slice of them being kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I assume that it is related to their coping because we see a big tantrum related to mom. Like, we see it. It's part of the movie. It's not ignored. It's not just this light romp. So I assume it's intentionally there. And it's not just a totally separate divorced thing. But it's just really cool how it's done.
I also kind of wonder if it's like a little bit of like childhood wish. Like, I don't know. I could see myself when I was 8 or something being like, oh, this bad thing is happening. I wish He-Man would come and save the day and fix this or something like that. Mm-hmm. Creating this like mystical creature or whatever in your head that's going to save the day.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's kind of like, well, that does happen.
Yeah. I mean, and Totoro does save the day. Yeah. So that's interesting.
What about Wonder Park, which I would say is much more explicit.
Well, it's explicitly
in the reason for it.
Inverse, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the imaginative world is the bond between mom and daughter. Mm-hmm. This is the thing they do together. Yeah. It's the way mom it's the main way that we see as the audience that mom expresses you can do anything you want, June. Mm-hmm. I'm so proud of you. You have such an interesting brain. Like, all these great mom things. Like, I love her as a mom. Yeah. I really like the parents in this movie. We only get them in the first half hour.
I really like the mom in this movie. I think Dad's a little slipshod.
Fair. But I think that's also a little bit honest. That's fair. Right? Like,
that's fair.
Dad is not... He never intended to be in charge of this household.
Yeah, Dad was and
then whoops,
not wanting to be a single parent. It just kind of happened.
Yeah,
for a while.
And so it's this cool thing they have together, and I think it's a really interesting concept that once June is unsure what's going to happen to mom, and so instead of continuing this world that is their bond, she just puts it on freeze. And she blocks it away because she cannot continue to nurture that bond. And it just makes her sad when she thinks about it.
She's like disconnecting.
She's disconnecting so that I don't have to think about what happens if mom doesn't come back to build this with me.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. Like, I see all that in the first half hour.
Yeah.
And then once she gets to Wonder Park, again, you've got the cloud over Wonder Park, which could be a neat metaphor, but I think it's supposed to be like 4 different things in the narrative of the movie,
like,
and
there's a point where I feel like there's a really good like where it's like depression, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool, but then it's like loss or anger or
Yeah, it's like walling
Sad.
up, right? Like isolation. It's a bunch of different things, which it can be, but it's not done well, so I don't
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know what
not
to do
like
with
it's
it.
a lot of things. It's just not. Yeah, it's not focused.
Yeah. So I do like this idea of like you can't shut down the things that make you you just because they remind you of your relationship with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we're gonna remake this movie, which you'd have to, um, that would be the overarching thing that you go with. And I think it is. I think it is one thread that is through the movie.
Yeah.
I think they lose it for like 20 minutes at a time, and then like, oh, we gotta pick this back up. But I like that idea because it like every child deals with grief differently.
Yeah.
And if you like, we don't know a lot about the relationship that Satsuki and Mei have with their mother.
Right.
We know it's affectionate, but we don't know specifics. We don't know what they did together. We don't know their specific bond.
We just know they have a mom.
And so it's reverse here that
Yeah.
you know more about June and her mom together than apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes sense that this thing shuts down. Where I'm still lost is where does she go? I guess again it can be a blurred
The
thing. Like
hospital.
no, but when she hops out of the bus,
Yeah.
wanders into the woods, discovers Wonder Park.
Oh, where does June?
Where is she? Is she
yeah.
like passed out for a couple hours? Is this like Wizard of Oz? Like a house hits her? Like
Do you think a house hits Dorothy in Wizard of Oz?
she gets hit by something. She like knocks into a wall. What else happens? She gets hit by something. She gets knocked out.
She must. Yeah. She doesn't get hit by a house though.
Well, I don't know. There are houses flying around. It's all very confusing. She hits her head, I think, maybe on like a door frame.
That
I
sounds
think that's,
most likely.
I-
Yes.
You know, canon. She gets
the
hit by a
witch
house.
gets hit by a house.
Yeah. Well,
Dorothy's.
but really, isn't Dorothy every character in her dream? So if the witch gets hit by the house, then so does
Wow.
Dorothy. Boom. Anyway, June, yeah. And I'm fine with suspending disbelief, but also like, what happened? Like, June is different coming out of Wonder Park than how she enters it.
Yeah.
So what happens?
What is the actual thing that
Yeah.
happens?
Is she just kind of like wandering the woods and talking to trees
I mean, that is
for a couple hours? Like,
that-
is she pretending? Is she doing what she used to do in her room with her mom, but just by herself to like process it? Like, she needs a minute.
And does she really find like there's a scrap of paper that she finds?
Yeah, the blueprint from the fire. Yeah.
So dumb. It's such a contrivance.
So there's like magic, right?
It's such a contrivance.
There's magic.
Yeah.
The contrivance is something different. That little like
Yeah, sorry.
that scrap of paper with the word June that ends up being how you turn back on the cogs in the
Yeah,
main
it's like she wasn't
part of
writing
the
my
land.
name, she was connecting the cogs.
But she was doing both. Like you had to
No, it
do
was-
a cursive
there was a-
June to make like
There
in
was
that
a
order to
really
make the cogs work.
sweet moment where mom writes June's name on a thing, and I was like, "Oh, that's really sweet." And then it turns out to be the way to solve a Wonder Park
But
puzzle.
I think that's the best argument for this is in June's head, and she's like
Yeah.
retconning the elements to kind of like be part of this new creative reality for her, right? But at the same time, like, where was she for 3 hours?
Right.
Or was she like, was it just like a kind of like a dream where she had it in 12 seconds and then
Yeah.
she's running back home?
She wasn't gone long.
No, because no teacher realized she was gone for long enough to call Dad. Dad was unaware that she was not on the trip when she ended up back at the house.
Okay.
Anyway,
Wait, two things.
the
two
logic
things.
doesn't have to work every time. It's just more.
Two things. Okay, I know
More
camp
things.
is. I know camp is different. I know camp is different, but math camp we can assume there's some organization.
Right?
You're a teacher. You've taken field trips.
Yeah.
If the bus were to break down and all the kids were to get off,
Yeah.
is there a procedure for making sure all those kids get back on the bus?
Yeah, you'd have buddies, you'd have chaperones assigned to each kid. You wouldn't let them wander the way that June did. Like, well, there are machinations in the plot that allow this to be somewhat plausible.
Sure.
Her best friend pretends to throw up or
Yeah.
pretends to get sick. They're attending to him medically. They create there's some kind of physical distraction so that she's able to walk away, they would notice pretty quickly and call home immediately.
But it's potentially plausible that she does get away at least.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not plausible that in the time frame Dad wouldn't know about it.
So that's I don't know. That's just a thing that leapt to my mind just now.
Yeah.
The other thing is I had a different read initially on why June was taking down the Wonder Park that she and her mom made together. And it made part of the movie a little confusing to me until I realized that I had it wrong. Is I thought she was angry. Because one thing that can happen when people get sick or die or aren't taking care of us is we can get angry at them.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, it doesn't like make logical sense to be angry. I was like, oh, she's upset that mom left. She's maybe angry at mom. She's maybe angry at dad. But I was like, oh, maybe she's angry at mom. And she's like, cool, if you're going to leave me, I'm going to destroy this thing we made. Or I'm going to take this thing we made and I'm going to put it away. So I thought we were going that route.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I guess I kind of I misinterpreted what was going on there. And it made little bits and pieces like a little confusing for me until I was like, oh, got it.
I mean, certainly anger is there, right?
Yeah.
Like, June doesn't really know how she feels.
Yeah.
I don't think she's able to articulate why she's taking it down.
No.
So I think I think that is a plausible read in there, and I like that too.
But I was kind of hoping that would be more of the movie.
Yeah.
Is like dealing with that, which would be like a really complex emotion.
Complex and specific enough to make a movie about.
And specific, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I feel like this movie was not.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Kate.
Dick.
Is it time?
For
the final
cut.
Yeah. All right. Final cut is when we play a couple of games and give slightly shorter answers than we've been giving.
I don't know that they're games as
they're absolutely not games.
Categories.
We do a lightning round of slow lightning questions.
Slow lightning.
All right, Kate.
Yes.
What's the first question we have?
Scene shout out.
Scene shout outs?
That's correct.
What's a scene shout out?
Well, we shout out a scene from the movie that we thought was particularly resonant, memorable.
Ooh.
We want to give a high five to.
Dang. Okay, cool. Well, you're starting.
All right.
I'm throwing you under the bus, making you start.
The cat bus.
And you get to start with, speaking of cat buses, Wonder Park. You start with Wonder Park.
Yeah, let's start with Wonder Park. First half hour of this movie, very good.
Yeah, well, you can't shout out the entire first half hour.
Cool. I liked we've already talked about like her tantrum with the fireplace, so I'm going to choose something different. I liked the first kind of reveal of Wonder Park when it's still in the imaginary state. When the mom and June are building it together and you dive in for a second to the quote-unquote real Wonder Park with the mascots who like move and breathe like living creatures.
Yeah.
You get to see what they're talking about in terms of this bear introducing the park to everyone and that one funny line with John Oliver. And you see you see June tell mom, "Oh, we should have this kind of attraction." I forget what it is. And then mom whispers it in the stuffed monkey's ear, and then you go into the park zone.
Yeah.
And then you see the monkey get the signal out of nowhere, announce it to the crowd, and then whisper into the air, "Thank you, whoever you are." And I thought that was such a neat and interesting setup.
Yeah.
Doesn't really get paid off, but I liked the delicious possibility in that moment. And also, it's just like, this is done by Nickelodeon Studios. It's 100% Disney World. They have Universal Studios. They actively decided, we're not going to make this look like Universal Studios.
No, there wasn't a single screen ride.
Because we understand that it is an inferior park to Walt Disney World.
I mean, there was a Mickey Mouse.
There was, yeah.
There was a Mickey.
There was a hidden Mickey. There was a 3-circle shape. Yeah.
that scene specifically reminds me of like late 90s PC games. There were a lot of like
yeah.
like there were a lot of like God games at the time and also management games at the time. So it reminds me of like what might a commercial for theme park or roller coaster tycoon look like.
Yeah.
But it also reminds me of like Black and White or oh my God, Peter Molyneux, not to be confused with Stephen Molyneux, or Stephen Molyneux, not to be confused with Peter Molyneux. One of them makes mostly good games. One of them is a horrible monster.
Oh.
So one of them is great.
Don't get them confused.
Hey, good luck. So yeah, it just reminds me of like this kind of quirky time in PC gaming where they'd be like, hey, you're like in charge of this theme park, but also you're kind of giving the orders to this monkey who's going to build everything. Like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I want to play that.
Yeah, for sure. Dick, Wonder Park. Scene shout out.
Crap, I should have thought of something, shouldn't I? Yeah, so okay, it's small, but the moment that gave me the moment where I was most engaged with this movie is when June gets off the bus, wanders into the forest, and uncovers she sees like something covered in like moss and trees, and then she realizes it's like a roller coaster car, and then she gets in it, and then it kind of takes off, and like the imagery there, seeing the car like all grown over, like abandoned theme parks are neat.
Yeah, they are.
Right? And like just having that discovery, I think that's what I wanted more of in this movie, and I think that's something I think could be learned from Miyazaki, is like discovery is just as important as plot.
Because that's it. Once you get in that theme park, it's just all systems go. And it can work in like a Meet the Robinsons way where there's just like 5 minutes of absolute chaos. Yeah. And then, okay, let's back up. Let's break it down.
Yeah.
But it never calms down after that first 5 minutes of chaos. And you're constantly, you're being introduced to new zones and new characters. But like you said, that discovery is gone. It's just like slap in the face as opposed to wonder.
I want to discover more as I go along. I also really wanted more stuff to be overgrown. I thought it was really cool looking. Yeah. And it was like just that thing was overgrown. Everything else was
just kind of like rusty.
Kind of, or just sitting there. So it's kind of weird. But that moment, and that's the moment in the trailer where I was like, oh, I got to see this. And then the rest of the trailer happened.
My Neighbor Totoro. I got a scene unless you want to go first.
No, you can go ahead. Go first.
In the beginning of the movie, when they are first exploring their new house.
Oh, this is...
Is this going to be yours? Sorry, now I'm going first. My turn. Satsuki is exploring the house, and there's a bunch of rooms. I don't know what, I mean, I guess Dad is a professor. It doesn't seem like they should be able to afford this house.
He's a professor or an architect or something.
A fixer-upper, so...
It's falling apart.
It's big, but it's falling apart.
It's in the middle of literally nowhere.
So they're going room by room. Satsuki and Mei is like trailing along. Yeah. And they're like finding these soot sprites and all these things. But what is, again, just super honest about this is how much of a little sibling Mei is in these scenes. Satsuki will come in and she'll be like, anybody here? And then like she'll leave the room. Mei will come in, anybody here? And leave the room. Or like, like Satsuki will like...
Whatever her big sister does, she comes in
look through a window, and Mei will do it more comically because she's smaller and she almost tips through it. Like, it's such a good little sister track, right? Like, it's very real to life. Yeah. And from that, I mean, that's early on, and I love Mei from this point on. So good work on that.
I want to briefly touch on a moment that happens just after this, where they are in the attic. They have found the attic, and May notices a soot sprite trying to get into a crack in the wall, and she like pokes her finger in it, and then whoosh, all these soot sprites come flying out, and May comes downstairs like just covered in dirt.
Yeah, the May is constantly covered in dirt throughout this movie, and I love it.
The kids have like dirty hands and dirty knees, and it really just adds something.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be my shout out because
okay.
you had the beginning of I was going to do that whole spiel. So I want to, can I do like one more mini shout out?
You love this movie.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll let you.
There's a guy we haven't really talked about who's like the kid neighbor of May and Satsuki. He's like Nanny's grandson.
The extremely sexually frustrated 12-year-old boy next door.
I wouldn't describe him as sexually frustrated. I would describe him as unaware of what sex is.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
He knows girls make him nervous. Like, he's just at that point where he's like, girl, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to run. He has some great moments. So I just want to call out one, which is him riding a bicycle that's too big for him. So he has to like stick his legs weirdly through the body of the bicycle to ride it. And it goes, I guess, faster than walking. Anyway, I just love that. So I wanted to put that out there. The moment I will shout out of him, though, is when May and Satsuki are hiding in a shrine from the rain. They're just like in like a little shrine on the side of the road. And this kid comes up to them and he offers them the umbrella. And Satsuki's like, what? And he like holds out the umbrella
Sticks
really
it in their
aggressively
face,
at her. And she like slowly reaches up to grab it. And then he gets frustrated. And he just like puts it on the ground and then runs.
Yeah, that's
and
really
like,
strong.
As he's running, like we're seeing him get like super wet. We're seeing him get soaked. And like, it's not clear that he knows why he did it. But then you see like a little smile and it's like, aw.
He's a sweet one.
Yeah, he's a sweet, weird boy.
Yes.
I identify.
Is that your shout out?
That's my shout out.
Okay.
That's my shout out.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah. Our next.
My shout out is the entire movie.
I know.
Let me start from the beginning. Come, let's go. Come. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
MVP. Most valuable something. Wonder Park first.
Wait, I thought we just picked one MVP.
Oh, no. Okay, sorry.
Movies.
By Wonder Park, I mean Dick Ward first.
Oh, do I?
I'm not calling you Wonder Park. I apologize.
Ouch.
I knew I had to make a choice. I just picked the wrong object.
All right, so my MVP is going to be a little weird here.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorite things in this movie. It is not a named character. It is not a character that has a credited actor. And it is not a character that is mentioned. There's a frog. There is a frog in the road in My Neighbor Totoro. And there's this whole scene where like the girls are interacting with Totoro and they're in the rain, and like Totoro is holding an umbrella and he notices that it's fun when the raindrops fall on him, and then he like jumps to make a bunch of raindrops fall. And this whole time there's a frog just watching him.
Creeping, yeah.
And he's just like, rap.
Yeah, it's not a frog sound.
This expressionless frog.
It is, yeah.
Just like all of this wonder happening before him, and he's just like, I'm a frog. I don't know. I love that frog so much.
Great.
Also, you could tell he's a good hopper.
You could tell.
You could tell he's a real good hopper. Yeah, so my MVP of one of my favorite movies of all time is not the director or the composer who makes some of the greatest music or any of the voice actors or artists or any of the characters. It's that frog.
Oh, that's a character.
I didn't waste my MVP at all.
Not at all.
What about you?
You just want May.
Yeah.
It's May.
Yeah.
She's got fun energy. she's obnoxious without being obnoxious to the audience.
Yeah.
I'm always on her side. She does cute things. She's always like her tantrum is very affecting because I love her so much.
4. You can't be that angry with her.
No.
Even when she is being completely irrational.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, she's tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny and like this idea of she's all like she adores her big sister and looks up to her and it's just I love May so much. I want to see her do more things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there is a short at the Studio Ghibli Museum.
Only at the Studio Ghibli Museum in Japan, right?
At the Studio Ghibli Museum in Japan. And it may not be playing when you go to visit. But it's called May and the Kitten Bus.
I'm in.
Yeah. I'm in.
I'm in.
Cool.
She's great.
Oh my God, wait, what's next?
Crossover.
Oh. Ooh. Ooh. What are you crossing over?
I've got ideas queued up, so you do it.
Okay. You start then.
Should I give 2 ideas?
If you want to, yeah.
Well, one, if we're on a May.
Yeah, we're always on a May.
I mean, May and the chimpanzee zombies together would create the most delightful chaos I've ever seen. Right? Like, she could get them in line. Like, I can just hear her be like, all you chimpanzees, get over here. And they would.
Yeah.
Yike. And then she would just have an army of chimpanzee zombies to do whatever she pleased.
Yeah.
Which would all be good things. May doesn't cause trouble. Not in a real way.
Not on purpose.
That's one that I think would be fun. I also just want these dads to get together in like a support group or something. Both of these dads are really nice.
Yeah,
like
nice
Matthew
dads.
Broderick's dad is not doing quite as well.
But he's a nice guy.
As the Totoro dad, but he's a nice guy, and it seems like he's doing his best. And I just think they could like support each other and like talk about feelings and meet with other nice dads.
Nice.
Who are dealing with temporary single parenthood.
Yeah.
You could take one of those if you want
Nope,
for your crossover.
I've got one. All right. This is going to be a little bit outside the box.
You're doing a Kate tonight.
I cross over Totoro with theme park.
Okay.
From Wonder Park.
I'm listening.
None of the characters, just the park.
Wonderland.
Sorry, Wonderland.
I don't know why you'd think it's called Wonder Park.
I don't know.
Where have you heard that?
Never, I guess. Actually, never in the movie.
Actually.
I want a Studio Ghibli theme park.
Oh.
So badly.
Yeah. Isn't there one kind of?
Really.
Is there one at all?
I don't think so.
I thought there was one either being built or one that's like extremely off.
There's always something in China.
Yeah.
Right? Like
maybe that's
there's like a World of Warcraft theme park in China.
Right.
There's probably like
copyrights
an off-model.
don't exist there.
Yeah. There's probably an off-model thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to go.
It'd be an easy pitch, easy sell. Especially if you do it in Japan, right?
And there's like, oh my God, we're gonna eat in the castle or the bathhouse from Spirited Away, or like maybe stay there. Maybe that's the hotel. I don't know. Look,
I mean, you definitely need to wash some floors. There could be a whole ride of washing various floors.
Secondary MVP to the floor washing in this movie.
Check, it's here. Miyazaki and his floor washing.
So that is so far what we have watched: Spirited Away. Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service.
I think there is some floor washing.
Yeah, she cleans the floor because she gets the upstairs area and it's shitty. So, and My Name is Totoro. That's 4 out of 4 Miyazaki movies we've seen where there is floor washing.
Yeah.
I feel like there probably isn't in Ponyo, but we'll find out.
Oh, that would be great. I'd go to that theme park.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a theme park. I would want a themed area. Like if it was just a really good like topiary garden with some statues.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Fine.
Yeah.
I just want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's my crossover.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, Dick.
Oh.
It's time.
It's time
for the final cut.
The final cut.
Where we take one movie at a time.
Yeah.
Now let's start with Wonder Park. I think this is what I thought where we were. We decide whether to re-release it as is, release some kind of special edition, either of the movie or in a different medium, or send it to the vault along with Song of the South and what should be the home of the Dumbo Crows, but we'll wait a couple more years on that, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you do with Wonder Park, Dick?
Special edition. I make it a short story. I shorten it to 30 minutes and make it good.
Just the first 30 minutes of Wonder Park.
Just end it when she finds the roller coaster. Just end it there, and I'm left going like, "Ooh, what's going on?"
Yeah,
I mean,
that's kind of weird. Yeah,
I mean, do it in a way that makes sense, but like, just give me that first 30 minutes. That's great.
Yeah,
that's my special edition of Wonder Park. Make it 30 minutes long. Put it in front of Coco.
So. Yeah.
Nothing? Really? I thought that was funny.
30 minutes long, put in front of Coco. Sorry, I was already starting my idea
I know
when you made that joke. That's very funny.
Thank you.
The first 30 minutes of this movie is better than Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to start from scratch, even with a good 30-minute intro, because you've got to weave back in whatever you're doing with the last hour. So I think what I do with this, I think it's got some bones for like an adaptation off of it that mostly changes it. So what my pitch would be, because this would be realistically something that I could make, would be like a 45-minute cruise ship or theme park musical. I think you have some interesting musical motifs within Wonderland.
Yeah.
That happy, happy chimpanzee song would be so fun on a stage. I think you can. I think musicals work really well when you have, and this is animated or on stage, when you have some really well, developed, memorable characters that all support a larger theme or arc. And I think there's the potential here with all these mascots. You break it down to like 2 or 3 important ones.
Yeah.
And like actually give them characters, but like. Peanut would be great. Like, also just cast Norbert Leo Butz in this musical.
I mean, we've got Broadway legend
talent.
Matthew Broderick, and then I guess Norbert Leo Butz and Kevin
Chamberlain. They've done some stuff. No, I think you could. I think you could do some neat things with rendering like a roller coaster on a stage with either projection or practical effects with like, leaning one way or the other way and the scenery behind you.
You could also just have a roller coaster on the stage.
Like Starlight Express has a roller track around the auditorium.
You just use it once, but you just have like someone come down whoosh whoosh.
Like the SpongeBob Rube Goldberg machine. Yeah.
It could be really fun.
And I think you could like mom and daughter have their theme song. It comes up in ways like this is ripe for a musical, and then you could just shorten it down. Those songs are where you bring back in your emotional content that is just dropped from whole scads of this movie. So redo it, make it shorter, make it in a different format so no one is comparing it or I don't know. I don't know.
I think right when this movie ended, I was like, I'd like to see Pixar do that. And you were like, well, they did. It was Inside Out. And I was like, oh, I'd like to see Miyazaki do that. And you were like, I'd like to make it into a musical. Like, right when this ended, we both had like, here's what we could do. Here's what we could do. Here's how it could be better.
Because there are seeds, right? Like there is what is it called? The sourdough.
The starter.
The starter, yeah. There's a starter here, for sure, and it's not just in the first half hour.
We called it Fred.
What?
We had like a sourdough starter or something that we called Fred. And we'd pass weird. Fred around. This was a thing.
I mean, sure, I believe you.
That's all.
Anyway, there's stuff in the last hour that is interesting.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the first half hour, but yeah, there is something to be drawn out of this. And honestly, I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah.
So I think it could be pretty easy to do, even independently. But
Nice.
one day.
Kate, what about My Neighbor Totoro?
My Neighbor Totoro, a special edition. The movie itself is a re-release. The only special edition I do is to change the cover art of this film because, listener, take a moment and look up My Neighbor Totoro, general Google image search. One of the first images that will come up will be
specifically like the Blu-ray cover.
But yeah, I mean it's the play menu on the Blu-ray too, so I think it's probably more than just the cover because sometimes the cover is janky.
The cover to the
off-model.
VHS was not that.
Okay, well the current cover in the States is the famous scene with Totoro and the umbrella where they're waiting for what is the cat bus, but you don't know it yet. And in this scene, so I'm looking at this play menu while you're in the bathroom after we finish this movie.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I shout from the couch. I don't know if you could hear it from the bathroom. Who is that girl?
Yeah, I could. And it was a weird thing for you to yell while I was in the bathroom.
Because the girl next to Totoro is an older girl with pigtails.
Uh-huh.
So it is not Satsuki, who has short hair and it is an older girl. It is not Mei, who is half the height of this girl but has pigtails.
Yeah.
It is not what the scene is, which is Mei sleeping on the back of Satsuki with a backpack. It is not two girls and it just looks like the pigtails are attached. It is a different single girl.
That is kind of an amalgam of both Satsuki and Mei.
And what I learned by, I think, literally typing into Google, who is girl on cover of Totoro?
I believe that was your search.
I find there's a message board that this is concept art. And the characters of Satsuki and Mei were originally conceived as one single character.
Yeah.
They were later split in development to two characters.
Great choice.
Yeah, great choice.
Clearly.
It still works as an iconic image.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at it, it messes with your brain.
I had seen that image plenty of times, and when you were like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "That's oh
no,
uh-oh."
I don't. Who is that?
Who is that? Yeah, it was a weird moment for me.
Only thing I change. Otherwise, re-release. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's Miyazaki slow and still, but I was never bored or disengaged.
Yeah.
Dick?
Re-release.
Same cover art?
Same cover art. Everything. But also just like put it back in the theaters.
Yeah.
Over and over again. I cannot speak highly enough of this movie. I love a lot of Miyazaki movies. I love a lot of Disney movies. I love a lot of Pixar movies. This one holds a special place for me because it's the first one I saw, and I've seen it. When it's your favorite movie as a kid, maybe I've seen it 100 times. Maybe I've seen it 10 times. I don't know, but I've seen it a lot of times. And also, I think it does a really good job of being really pure and innocent. And I think that's really sweet to see in a movie. Like, it's a movie about kids, from a kid's point of view. It's not like full of jokes for the parents, though as an adult I get a lot out of it. It's not full of like, I mean, I don't know how big the Japanese voice cast was in Japan, but like for us it's not full of like giant talent. That's like, sorry, not giant talent, giant celebrities that we're just going to see Will Smith do a voice. And it's not dark, which I feel like a lot of movies are like, and even like Spirited Away is pretty dark. Princess Mononoke is very dark, but then like stuff like Ponyo and Kiki's Delivery Service are lighter. But this is just like this very pure, innocent thing. And I don't think there's much that exists that captures the same feeling for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want it out in the world more for people to appreciate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
What a lovely note to end on.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah.
If you ever have a whisper in your ear from a disembodied voice, whether or not you're a chimpanzee, of an episode pairing you'd like to see.
Is he a chimpanzee?
He is a chimpanzee. That's why they're chimpanzombies.
Oh.
I mean, what other type of monkey would he be?
I don't know. I don't know my monkey types.
And Norbert Leo,
also,
chimpanzee.
are chimpanzees monkeys?
Norbert Chimpanzeo Butz.
Mm.
Oh. They're primates. I think he's called a chimpanzee. I think I'm the only one who's calling him a monkey.
Chimpanzees aren't apes, right?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Okay.
I want to be able to answer your question, but without Google right in front of me, I'm not going to.
Well, Jane Goodall, if you're listening, is Jane Goodall alive?
Yes.
Jane Goodall,
reach out to us.
If you're listening, let us know.
Jane Goodall, you can find us at Cellmates Podcast on Twitter, Cellmates Podcast on Facebook, cellmatespodcast@gmail.com. And Jane Goodall, if you just want to listen to us and find out, where you can stream us on other podcast apps, visit us at cellmatespodcast.com.
And also, if you're not Jane Goodall, that's okay.
Jane Goodall and only Jane Goodall.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No.
For this 2-week period, only Jane Goodall.
No.
Hashtag only Jane Goodall.
If you've got a pairing, if you've got one movie that you'd love for us to pair with another,
happy to do
co-host choice, we'd love hearing about movies you love so that we can love them too.
For Cellmates Podcast, I'm Dick Ward.
I'm Kate Phillips. Happy, happy Wonderland, la 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 la. I don't know this song very well, so I'll just sing like this. Chimpanzee, chimpanzee, la 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 Dick, what were you saying before?
For Cellmates Podcast, I'm Dick Ward.
I'm Kate Phillips.
Crunchy. Smell you later. For Cellmates Podcast, I'm Dick Ward.
I'm Kate Phillips. Norbert Chimpanzeo Butz.
Really? That's better than crunchy?
It has to do with this episode.
Let's try one more.